Why are we doing this?
Good question.
Okay, so we have some random questions in here, some that I wrote, some that Matt wrote, and we're gonna attempt to answer them, all about our year 2020.
All right.
Okay.
Question number 1. What was your favorite book in 2020?
So actually that's kind of interesting because I think probably one of my favorite books in 2020, we found out that one and maybe a couple other of our kids have ADD this year, and so I read a book, Delivered from Distraction, and I thought that was really, really useful. That was really helpful.
My most favorite book this year was Blood Song by Anthony Ryan. It's a coming of age story. I love coming of age stories. I just like the journey and the progression, and it's a fantasy series. So if you're into that, it was really good.
What was your most played video game in 2020?
I actually don't play a ton of video games, but interestingly enough, over Christmas break these last week, I've been playing a lot of God of War with our son, Owen, who's in 8th grade, and he's been giving me a little bit of a rundown, so I've really enjoyed it. It's been a good epic adventure.
I play some solitaire.
What is your biggest win in 2020?
For me, it's been just continuing with a lot of goals that I had set for myself for the year before I realized what the year was going to be like. Things ended up looking differently than I thought they would, and 5 kids at home doing school all from home, and you know, my time's been spent a little differently, but I still think it's been a big win for me that I've done a lot of the things that I set out to do in 2020.
I think for me, getting to spend more time with my family, and one was forced. We had to take six or 7 weeks off during the spring when the coronavirus first came, and people were really worried about things, and so that was kind of a blessing in disguise. The other thing was getting 2 new associates in my practice that have allowed me to not work quite as much as I have the last 4 or 5 years, and that's it's just been really nice to have a little bit of extra time and not concentrate as much on work, and have some time to spend with you and the kids.
What was your best Christmas present?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I had so many good Christmas presents this year, and I feel like they weren't necessarily big epic presents, but I could tell that the kids and Kyla and other people put some thought into the things they gave me. One of the things that I really liked, I went to BYU, and I'm a huge Jimmer Fredette fan, and if you didn't go to BYU, you probably don't know who Jimmer Fredette is, but at one point he was a NBA basketball player. He's still playing professionally in China, but he was kind of a rock star in college for a year or 2. And my sister sent me a cameo message, which I didn't even know what a cameo was.
Those are so funny.
But apparently, I think celebrities, out of the pure goodness of their heart, just send messages to people. But he sent me a message, personalized message, and that was really cool from Jimmer Fredette. So that was a cool Christmas present.
Maybe my favorite was this sweater, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but he got me sweaters, and he got them for everyone in the family too. And it has something that I was saying at the end of my videos. Anyway, so he put that on a sweater with my logo, and I feel like that's just the favorite present that I got. I feel so official. Favorite family activity of the year?
Shortly after school stopped, after our kids stopped going to school in March, we realized that they were happy to play video games 24/7. So we decided to kind of try to come up with a little bit of a schedule. And one of the things we did was every day, and I forget, from 2 to 5 or for a few hours each day, we planned a different family activity. That was super fun. It wasn't always really epic. I mean, I remember one of them was repainting all the baseboards and did stuff like that. So it was just fun to have a little bit of time each day to spend together doing family stuff.
Yeah, so mine probably, I would say, goes along with that, is we decided to sit down and do family movie nights where we forced the kids to watch movies that we enjoyed growing up, or that we thought were important, that they were too young, that they had missed. Going back, some of those movies were like, actually, that is pretty terrible. Like, it's not that great of a movie. I remember it being so good, and the kids were like, that's horrible. But anyway.
It seemed to happen a lot, actually.
But some of them we were like, that was really good. See? Told you this was a good one. What was your favorite movie in 2020?
Man, favorite movie. Were there movies in 2020?
We watched movies.
Yeah, I know it wasn't Wonder Woman. We just watched the Wonder Woman 1984, and that was not my favorite for sure.
So we went through a number of movies with the kids, and some of them are older, but especially this spring, early summer, kind of social justice kind of movies. And so I'm not sure when all of them were made, but we went through one of my all-time favorites, which is Remember the Titans. That was a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
They actually liked that one. But I really enjoyed Just Mercy, and I don't know if that came out in 2020 or not.
I think it did, yeah.
And also Harriet. Oh my goodness, that was one of my favorite too this year.
What's something maybe small, that seems small, you've learned this year that has been helpful to you?
Just feeling your emotions, like allowing yourself to process emotions. It seems like a small thing, but it has been huge in my life, because once you learn that you can process emotions, like it feels like some heat in your face or some tightness in your chest and whatever, and then the emotion actually, instead of just sitting there and like irritating you like sandpaper under the surface, it actually will process through and move out. And so it is an amazing, amazing skill. It seems so small to just let yourself process that, but it has been huge. And the other reason why I think it's so huge is because when you are doing anything in life, if you don't go for something, it's always because of the emotion that you're scared to feel. So like if we don't go for our dreams, it's because we don't want to be disappointed, or we're afraid, we don't want to feel fear, or we don't want to feel, embarrassment, or all of these things. And so when you learn how to process emotions, it makes all the difference, because then you're like, sure, speak in front of a lot of people, okay, make YouTube videos, sure, why not? It's the worst that'll happen. I may feel embarrassed, but I can totally process that.
Yeah, that is a good one. That's one I've worked on as well. I think another good one for me has been to try to appreciate the journey. I feel like I have a strong tendency to want to get to a destination, right? And then once I get to a goal or a destination, then I'll be good enough, or then I'll be happy, right? And so I've been trying to do that to find the happiness along the way, and not to think of a goal that will necessarily, getting to a goal will be the thing that gives me happiness, but just kind of appreciate the day-to-day moments, and to realize that this is how it's supposed to be.
What is your most listened to song in 2020?
Probably this is probably a couple of years now, still my favorite song has got to be it's got to be Sound of Silence by Disturbed. I love that song.
I figured that was what yours was. So funny, I just got my information back on Spotify. They tell you what your top songs are for the year. And mine this year was Legends Never Die by League of Legends. And I don't know if anyone ever has heard of this song, but Owen told me about this song. It was something, I think it's from a video game, but apparently that was my most listened to song for the year.
What's a goal you had this year that you didn't obtain?
So for me, there's actually quite a few that I didn't hit, which I have really learned to appreciate my failures. I actually have a coach myself. I am a life coach, but I still get coached, and she says that failure and success live in the same neighborhood. So if you're not failing, you're not even in the right neighborhood. So this year I actually really paid attention to my fails, and got excited about them and what did I learn from them so that I could move forward. I'm like, okay, at least I'm in the same neighborhood, right? But one of the things was my program, my actual coaching program that I started. I had goals to fill a certain number of slots, and the whole beginning of the year I kept missing those goals. What about you?
Yeah, I like that thought, and it's something we've talked a lot about this year, is that if you're not failing, then maybe your goals aren't stretching you enough, and you should be failing. And so many successful people in the world throughout history have failed way more than they have succeeded. So I've tried to really concentrate on that and try to stretch myself, and so I've had a ton of fails this year, but along the lines of growth and working towards my goals. So yeah, that in itself has been a big something I've learned and taken away from this year as well.
What is your greatest lesson from 2020? So mine would be that I can handle emotions. There was a number of things that I had to feel like, where I processed a lot of emotions about this year, when it came to the election, when it came to social justice, when it came to our family situation, struggles that our kids were going through, struggles that other extended family members were going through. That was the best lesson for me, is that I can totally handle all of those emotions. It's not a problem.
Probably my best lesson, something I try to remember, is the outcome of certain situations. We like to assign a value to them, right? Like this was really good that this happened to me, or this was really bad that this happened to me. When I feel like we really don't know if it's good or bad, and I need to look up. I've read this before, and this was a Chinese proverb, and essentially, this guy loses his horse, and he's like, his neighbors say, "Oh, that's such a bad thing," and he's like, "Well, we'll see," and then they find the horse, and then his neighbors are like, "Oh, that's so great," and then we'll see, and then he breaks his leg because he's on his horse. So essentially, the moral of the proverb is that we don't know really, in the eternal scheme of things, if what we're going through really is a good thing or a bad thing. So just to be more, I guess, optimistic and have gratitude for what I'm going through, and not assigning an absolute value of this is great or this is not great that I'm going through this, has been really good for me.
I like to think that the universe is like working in my favor on our behalf. It's like working for us for our own good. And so when I look at the world in that way, I just feel like, yeah, this is good. It's going to be great. This is how it's meant to be. This is going to be the best for us.
All right, last one.
What was your best purchase in 2020?
I don't know. I guess my fantastic Christmas present that I got for Kyla, right?
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed us answering some questions about 2020. Any final words?
No. Sign off.